Eddie had a million kids with his wife Angela, and then one day, after playing with DNA kits, Eddie found that he is not the biological father to any of his kids with his wife. He couldn't believe it, and for 20 years he thought that he had built a life together, and their million kids were a part of that. He confronted his wife and she broke down and admitted that the million children that they have together is not biologically his children at the moment. Eddie was angry and he hated her so much, but then something made him stop shouting. "What do you mean at the moment?" Eddie asked his wife. "You were always working and so you hardly ever connected with them on an emotional and psychological level. Through emotional and psychological means, the kids will start to have your DNA and looks," Angela told Eddie. So Eddie started to connect with 2 out of his million kids, and as time went those 2 kids started to look like him, talk like him, and even act like him. It was a revelation, and after a year of this Eddie did a DNA test on 2 of those kids and they were biologically matched now. Eddie was in tears and he hugged the 2 sons that were now biologically his through emotional and psychological bonding. Eddie also chose 2 daughters and he started to emotionally and psychologically bond with them. Then those 2 daughters started to share DNA traits with Eddie in looks, talk and mannerism. The DNA test showed those 2 daughters were now biologically linked to him. So now 4 kids out of the million were now biologically Eddie's kids. Eddie's wife was urging him to bond with the rest of his kids, which stands at 999,996. Eddie took his wife and his now 4 biological children to a restaurant. He assured her that he will bond with the rest of his kids and make them biologically his. Angela was so glad and happy. Then when they came home, the home was on fire with 999,996 kids. Eddie wasn't sad but smiling and said 4 biological kids are enough and I chose the best 4 out of the million. Angela couldn't believe it, and this was revenge from Eddie, for making him think that the million kids were all biologically his for the last 20 years. His anger was clear and raging and he knew the marriage was over. At least 4 of his kids were biologically his now.